I think we're live. I cannot see, so I've misplaced my glasses. Kim went to look in the truck. The front door is locked. She went out the side door. I think she just knocked on the door. I've got an old pair here, but they're really, they're too powerful. It's okay, Gracie. I'm gonna see if. Oh, she's out. Kim's barking at him from outside. So let me see if she found him. These, this pair here hurts my eyes. I can see with them, but they're just way too powerful. Gracie.
You didn't have them today because remember you couldn't read anything. You said you lost your glasses.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll use these. These will work. Thank you, baby. No, yours are stronger than these. God, look at my eyeballs. I can see. Okay. All right. Oh, everyone's here. There's Francisca and Danny and Brother Mark, Bama Bigfoot. Come on, there's Nancy. I'm going up. Oh, Jean's here. What a blessing. And who else we got here? Kim and Emma. Good deal. Thank you all for hopping over. And there's my sister Tina. I've seen her somewhere. Hey, Nancy. How are you doing? Bigfoot Mama's here. And Brother Butch. Hey, Ouija. And there's Samuel. Ouija is a nickname that stuck to my sister Tina. Our dad gave her that name when she was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old, and it just kind of stuck. So if you ever hear me talking about Ouija, that's my sister Tina. I love her to death. She's one of the greatest people that I know. Hey, Clarence. Brother Jeff's here. Sorry, that's our deaf dog. And there's Wildman and Connor. Oh, everyone's here. Wow. What an awesome evening. Thank you all for hopping over and joining us today. Gracie's barking because Kim was rattling the door. There's a little window right next to the door. She's deaf, but she could see Kim. And there's no porch light on. And she's not going to stop barking till I let her out. And then I'll have to get up to let her in. Give me just 1 second. Let me get her out. Come. There we go. Go out there and bark. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I just left the door open. All we got is rats and roaches outside and a couple snakes. It's all good. Because our bedroom is at the other end of the house. So it'll be tomorrow before they make it that far. Okay. I've been uploading a video. I started it earlier today, and it's still uploading. And so if I've had a couple phone calls, I cannot answer a call or make a call when I'm uploading, or it kicks it off. And it's just now. Well, what in the world? No, don't do that. It's just now, if you can see it, it's 61%. I don't know what's going on. It's our internet. The computer's acting up. The phone's acting up. So, if you've called me and I didn't answer, I'm not ignoring you. I cannot answer it, or it'll kick the video out, and I'll have to start over. I'll just have to get up with whoever called, probably in the morning. But I apologize if you did call. I thought I seen Kevin. Oh, there's Kevin. Sugar Bridges. Wow. So good to see everyone here. Thank you so much, all of you, for hopping over. There's a few things. Let me see if I can. Just a few things I wanted to share before we get on with the with the articles. I do have the articles that Brother Don had sent me. And it was just a couple things, just off topic completely. One of them, I did not put it in here. Yes, I put it in here. All right, this is something I wanted to share you with. You guys know about just the weird stuff that's happening worldwide. And the Bible tells us where Yeshua, Jesus says, there's tears that'll be in the veil between the spirit realm and our realm. Between the dead and the living, I guess it could be. Between the heavens and the physical. I don't know, but there is a tear in the veil. And a lot of us believe that's where a lot of these weird entities and ghosts and all the strange phenomena is coming from us through these tears. And I'm one of them that does believe that to a pretty high point. Hey, Dennis, I just seen you in there. Hope I haven't missed anyone. But something I wanted to share with you what happened 3 days ago. I did a video yesterday, or I put one together yesterday, and it uploaded about 4 hours while I had the phone here, and it just wouldn't upload. And I thought the video was messed up, and I got aggravated with it. I stopped the uploading, restarted my phone, tried it again. The same thing happened. So I figured the video was bad, and I deleted the video. And that was after I deleted the footage. So what happened with that video, I deleted the clips that were in my phone because I've got so many. I've got probably 14 or 15 hours worth of clips that I haven't even put together yet. And my memory was so full that the phone wasn't running right. And so I already edited the video. I put it together to be uploaded yesterday. And so I went in my photo gallery. I deleted the clips. Somehow, how the phones work, evidently, is when you edit a video, even if you're using an editor, I use Power Director Pro. And if you're using a video editor, even though you've got it put together into one video and it's finished, ready for the upload, if you delete the clips that you made the video out of in your gallery, it also takes them out of that video before it's uploaded. I did not know that. So anyway, I wasn't able to upload that video. Then I deleted everything. But anyhow, what I wanted to tell you guys about, a few days ago, I parked the Suburban out front, out by the road, by the highway. And I had the back door open on the driver's side and the front door. And I was getting my things together. We'd gotten back from the property, and I was getting everything together to go inside. And the back door's open. I was in the front door. So I get out, I closed the front door, and I just turned and went to push the back door closed. My toolbox, I got a big tote, and it's full of tools. I got a mason jar with screws in it, in that tote, and it's right against the side. And I'm afraid if I slam the door, it'll bust that mason jar. And I've got a lot of stuff in there. I don't need glass in there on top of it. So I just pushed the door to, real gently, just pushed it until it latches, and I bump it so I don't jar that glass. As I pushed it to, I could see the reflection of the highway behind me, and there's a guy standing right beside me. There's probably a foot between my right arm and his left arm. He's facing me, just behind me, and he's really close to me. A foot away, maybe 2 feet at best. I never heard him come up. As soon as I seen it, it startled me because I should have heard him. The truck was not running. And I spun around, there's nobody there. This is the second time I've seen the same guy. And he looks like there was a television show called either the 60s show or the 70s show. They were all dressed like hippies. It was a family. The one guy in there had light brown, really curly hair, and he wore these square glasses from that hippie era. That's what this guy looked like. He had that curly hair. It was a dark brown, and he had these glasses on that were real bronze colored, orange and bronze, the lenses. And he had the sideburns. He had a shirt on and had 2 or 3 buttons right here, short sleeve shirt, and it had multicolored stripes, probably that wide, going, side to side all the way down. That's the second time I've seen him. The first time is actually at the property where my sister Tina lives now, and that was many years ago. But it kind of spooked me, and I knew right away there's nowhere for anybody to hide. If you would have been behind me, there's nowhere for him to go. There's no trees. There's nothing between me and the highway but grass. And it happened so fast. It kind of startled me. It didn't scare me. It just shocked me. I wasn't prepared for that. But I wanted to share that with you. I got somebody else trying to call through right now. But I thought that was really, really interesting. Very, very interesting. We just picked up, I think, 2 rescues. Kim just picked up 2 more little rescue goats. Or one rescue. We got 2 from the same place. And this little one, he was sick, having a rough time. And so we got him indoors right now. And the day that she picked him up, 2 days ago, our brother Frogman, who you all know, he's part of our family here, he was in town. And me, Kim, and Chris got to meet Frogman and his wife. And they are really wonderful people. We had just a fantastic time. We spent probably 20 minutes with them. It wasn't much. We were going to the property back to work, and they were looking for homes, and we met him down the road. We talked to him. It got a area together where we could meet. That was easy for both of us, and what a wonderful man. Him and his wife, both really great people, and that just truly blessed us to get to shake the hand and hug the neck of part of our family from here. That was awesome. Oh, we got a few more. I just hopped in. Oh, Dick Tracy, awesome! You made it. And Sandra's here. Wow. That clicking is the mouse. There's Long Island Bigfoot and Bobby, and we got the whole family. I've said it before and I'll say it again. And there's Harold. The greatest people that ever come across YouTube are right here with us right now, and that's you all. What a blessing it is. Thank you so much, all of you, for hopping over here with us. It truly means the world to me, and I can't say that enough, and I absolutely mean that from the very depths of my heart. Thank you all so very much. We do got some stuff to go over. I had a couple of emails, I think 3. I had a bunch of emails off topic, and it was 3 people that I believe, I think they're new. They're part of our family here. They were asking, 2 of them have a channel that they're in the process of building up, and was asking me about the cameras. And both of them are interested in the GoPros. And I did respond to them, and I have not got a reply back. But just in case they're there, if any of you are looking to get a GoPro, get a new GoPro, if you'll hold off, next month they're supposed to be releasing 4 different cameras. GoPro is. If they don't have nothing new that you like, my personal opinion, stay away from the GoPro 10. The GoPro 9 and the 8 are 2 of the best ones that they've had. The 10 will cut off on you about every 20 minutes of filming. I'm not happy with the 10. Wonderful footage, but you got to constantly keep an eye on it because it will shut down on you. Oh, there's Amy and Steve. Awesome. No, I'm going to put that up there. Amy, thank you for bringing that up. I meant to address it about a month ago, and I did not. All right. Amy says, have you ever considered having the metal taken out of your arm? And for those that don't know, I there's a section in my left arm. It's right about here. I know it's hard to see with the tattoo. Well, I don't have anywhere that there's not any ink. About midways in my arm, you have two bones in there. One of the bones has a section 1 inch long that is metal. When I was a teenager, I I skateboarded professionally for a long time, and I had broke my wrist or my hand. I don't remember. I broke one of them, and when they were X-raying my arm, that's how they found it. And there's no scars. And they asked if I had injured that arm, and maybe it healed wrong to where it looked like it was metal. And my mother says no, and he says, well, it can't be bone because there's no marrow in it. Uh, and according to the doctors, they wanted to do exploratory surgery because they'd never seen that before. To have a solid section in the middle of a bone, your bone, blood flows through your bone and creates, I think, red blood cells. If you got a solid section, the bone dies. And they could not understand how the bone was alive and healthy, and it's got this solid section 1 inch long in the middle of it. And anyhow, I begged Mama not to let them cut on me because I'm terrified of surgery. And she said, no, you're not going to cut on him just to look around. It's not hurting him. It's staying. Well, it goes back. We had our childhood. I mean, we had great parents. We were adopted. The dogs are barking at something or somebody. But our biological father, when we were with him very young, we were coming back from Atlanta, Georgia, going to Montgomery, Alabama. And I remember parts of it. I remember one time. I don't remember both events. But we were coming down I think it's either Old Atlanta Highway or Old Montgomery Highway. I don't remember what they called it. But it's just a straight, long road from Atlanta to Montgomery, Alabama. And a craft came over the top of the car. It was at night, and it lit up everything. And I was in the back seat. And I remember I crawled down in the floorboard. It was scary. It was so bright. And the car stopped. The radio stopped. Everything stopped. It was dead silence other than a strange, it was a humming sound, but it almost sounded like if you were to take a champagne glass and you thump it. That ring, it was sort of like that, but it wasn't a high-pitched ring. It was like a lower, and it happened the entire time this light was over us. And laying on the floorboard, I looked under the seat, which is normally really dark because me and Tina would always climb in the floorboards when we were going down the highways when we were young. And there were no shadows under the seat. That light, it was like the light was water and we were dropped into it. It was everywhere. Up under the seat, the bottom of the seat cushion for the front bench seat, everything was lit up underneath. It was the strangest thing, but anyhow, it burned all the paint off the roof of the car, and I had a lot of dreams. I remember that event. I remember coming up out of the seat looking because our parents were in the front seat and just they were quiet, like they were asleep, but they weren't. They were awake. And this bright light, and it looked like little kids all around, just a lot of them all around the car. And I went back down on the floorboard. And through the years, I had a lot of dreams that I haven't had one in a very, very long time, many, many years. But of these, what we know is the gray aliens now, these little big-headed things with these huge black eyes coming into my room. And when we lived on the beach as teenagers, it happened a lot there. And when I got married, I'd gotten some trouble. I lost my home, and me and my wife had to move in with my parents for a short spell. I think I was 19 or 20. I got married really young. And in that house, grown up, I had 2 children already. And in the bedroom, I would have these dreams. They'd come in through the hall, like they came in the house. My door was closed when I go to bed. I would wake up and I'd look over and the door was open. And the head of the bed is against the same wall. The way that the room was sat at the first time that had happened, my headboard was against the same wall the door was on. And I looked over, and these little short guys, these 2 little 3 foot, 3.5 foot, they walked in the room, were looking right at me. They knew where I was before they entered the room. As they walked in, their head was already turned looking at me. As soon as they stepped in, they just, where the door was, the walls here, when they come in, they were like this, and they were looking right at me when they come in. And I panicked because I thought it was a nightmare. And I woke up out of it. I knew I was awake, but I never opened my eyes. My eyes were open the whole time, and they were gone, but the door was open. And we closed the door whenever we went to bed at night. But anyway, a long history of strange stuff like that. And getting back to it, talking to several people, including my biological father, Pop, before he passed away. He also believes that we were taken that time. There were a lot of strange events that happened. Neither one of them had a wristwatch, my mother or father, when that event happened. The clock in the car was an old analog clock. It had the hour and minute hands on it, and it never worked right. It was always off. Nobody ever said it. So they don't know if any time was missing. But when we got home, it was really late. I don't remember if Pop said how many hours, but we should have got home a lot sooner than what we did. And it not only happened once, it happened twice. My mother, as a teenager, told us about it happening one time because I had asked her, because I remembered it. And I thought it was a dream. And when I asked her, she confirmed it, that it did happen. And she passed away when we were young. And so our Pop, our biological father, passed away, I think 3 years ago. And I talked to him the year before he passed, and he verified it all to me. And at the time when we were teenagers, we got to see him maybe once every 7 or 8 years. We would meet at a rest stop on the highway somewhere, and it was never brought up. And the first time I ever brought it up to him was just a few years ago, the year before he passed. And he believes without a doubt that we were definitely abducted. I don't know. I don't know if Tina was with us both times. She was with us one time. I don't know about the second time. Pop didn't tell me. And I don't know if she has anything odd in her like that. But no, Amy, to answer your question, no, I have not. I did think about it. It has crossed my mind a lot. I wish there was a way that they could check it without having to cut me, because I'm petrified of being put to sleep for anything. It scares me. I can go through any surgery as long as I don't have to be put to sleep for the surgery. That's what I'm afraid of. Paradox is here. Wow. And Sark, non-Rudy, welcome. You guys, welcome. Thank you so much for hopping over. I was just blabbing a little bit, and we do have some articles. I'm going to be sharing them with you. Damien's here. God bless him. We have been so busy here lately. I'm trying to. We got so much going on. You guys know that I hunt, and we hunt hard. We got to try to put up enough meat to get us through the year until next year's hunting season. So I hunt very serious and very hard, but we don't shoot everything that comes along. We are very, very mindful of the animal. We're not going to shoot babies. We're not going to shoot mamas that have babies or that could be pregnant. There's a lot of, you may see 10 deer that you could shoot, but we just don't shoot them. Very selective. And you got to be that way in order to maintain the balance, a healthy balance in the herd. You don't want to get in there and just wipe them out. Hey, Tracy Bowers is here. That is awesome. I'm looking now to make sure I haven't missed anybody. Oh, hallelujah. Thank you, wild man. Yahweh has his angels around you to protect your family. Amen. Amen. Thank you. That we all need that. Yeah, Danny, I believe it was an abduction too. I've had a lot of strange things through my life. As a teenager, I remember being in school, and a lot of you my age or older would remember the desk where you sat in the seat, and it had an arm that came up and had a little wooden, your desk was a little wooden tray on top, and there was a groove at the top of it where your pencil laid. And if you took it out of the groove, it would roll down into your lap because the desk, it sat at an angle sort of up. And I would finish my work, and we had to turn our page upside down. Like if it was a test, you finish it, you flip it over, the teacher will walk through the rows, and she would pick up everybody's paper that was upside down because they were done. And just being bored, I would set my pencil, I would take it out of that little tray, and I'd lay my fingers down under with the pencil resting across the top of my fingers on the desk. And I would imagine my finger extending just about that far, not real big, but I would imagine it in my mind that both of my fingers would extend. And as my finger is extending, I would slide my hand down the desk, and the pencil would sit there. And I would get about that far from the pencil, and then I'd move my hands down, and the pencil would roll with me. And when I stopped, the pencil would stop. And I could push it up without touching. The pencil was, an inch and a half, 2 inches, maybe just past my finger. And I would push it all the way back up to the pencil trough. And I didn't think it was out of the ordinary. I thought everybody did it. It was just stuff. I'd push marbles around without touching them, just getting kind of close to them. And I would always imagine in my mind's eye, my finger extending. And then I'd push it with that extension. And you can move an empty soda can. If it was on a flat surface, like a counter, you could push that. And I never, it didn't bother me to do it in front of people because I thought everybody did it. And it wasn't until I was probably 19 or 20 that I found out it wasn't normal. And so I felt kind of weird that I was doing that around people. And it was, I found out when Kim and I got married back, I think it was 2013, 2014, I don't remember. But when we got married, the year we got married is when I found out that it was telekinesis, I think is what they call it. But L.A. Marzulli, I was listening to a show he done, and he was talking about abduction with aliens. And when people go through these abduction, they would come back with the ability to move things with their mind, speak to people, through the mind. And it scared me. It truly horrified me, because immediately I thought, these aliens are demonic, and now I'm doing stuff that they do, and it scared me pretty bad. Scuba Lady, Barb, awesome. Haven't seen you in a while. It's so very good to see you. Yeah, Butch, I don't think it was a dream either. Looking back on a lot of the crazy stuff, I don't think it was. Dogs are getting after somebody out there. We probably got the coyote is probably trying to get into the gate again. And Kim's in the bedroom. I can't get her to go out there and check on them. It's too dark to see anything. Are you guys hearing the dogs? Is that bothering you? Please let me know, because I don't. If so, I'll try to holler at him. Oh, Randy's here. Randy Seal, awesome. Let's see who else is here. Well, good. I'm not going to tie you guys up all night talking about all of that goofiness. We are going to do the articles. And while I'm at it, if y'all don't know about our sister Daniela, she is, I believe she's considered co-host for Bigfoot Odyssey for Carrie. She's still in the hospital. She had a pretty serious situation going on. Started in her hip, made its way down into her foot, her ankle. And there's a lot of other, not complications, but other issues. And everything is tied together to a point, but she's in a bad way right now. She will be all right. Daniela will pull through, but please, when you guys are praying tonight, when you're sending prayers out for yourselves and your families and your friends, please send a prayer out for our sister Daniela. She really needs it right now. And the more prayers she gets coming from Bigfoot Odyssey's family over there, and then all of you guys and gals, every bit helps. And the Bible tells us, with 3 or more come together in prayer, Christ is there. And that's what we need. We need Holy Spirit to jump over there and smack the bad stuff out and shovel in the good stuff and get her rolling. Hey, Meredith. We're always happy to see you. Happy to see everybody here. What an awesome. Thank you, Paradox. Yes, a thumbs up does help, unless you don't like what we're doing here, and you're entitled to your own opinion. It's all good. Just don't bash nobody, please. We've got an amazing family here of people, and it could not possibly get any better unless I seen Christ himself in the chat, and we would absolutely give him the floor. I promise you. That would be a good thing. All right, I have not been through these yet. I don't know what I have. This is what Brother Don has sent me. And for those that don't know, our brother Don Moore, he's here with us tonight in the chat. He is the backbone of our operation when it comes to these articles. He does the research. He does the, I guess you call it transcribing. A lot of the stuff, he'll take audio files and he will put it on paper, and then he'll send them up here to me. He is the backbone. So please, when you see Brother Don, just give him a digital high five, because he's put so much into this, making this possible. And we definitely couldn't have done it without him. I've got far too much going on here. Being a husband, a father, a farmer, and everything else. I just don't have the time. I don't know if this is in any particular order. I don't think it matters. Oh, that's gonna, okay. We'll do this one here. Will be the last one. What are you doing, Gracie? She's our deaf puppy, but she is a destructor. Hey, Kim, I see you just commented. Can you please call the dogs in? They are after something out there. Maybe the coyote. She's at the opposite end of the house. Literally at the opposite end. Okay, I'm going to get these paper clips off. We will... Let me see if this one... Okay, this has a picture. All right, that's a little short. And this one... All right, this would be a missing one. Okay, that is exactly what we'll do. All right. Now, when we done the missing people that were... I know the back door I left open. Gracie came in, but the others are barking out there, babe. Thank you.
You're welcome. I love you.
I love you too. All right. When we were doing the missing people, presumed attacked by the werewolf dogman creatures, that we had the dates and the locations and the pictures of some of the people that were attacked, that were missing. We've got a little bit, it looks like a little bit of a continuation of that. All right, I don't have a picture of them. Did Gracie bring a frog in again? No, Petey ain't got them. Gracie brings frogs and lizards in the house. And Kim don't like the frogs for some reason. Supposed to kiss them and turn them into princes. Okay, yeah, we don't have a picture of this guy, but we're going to start with this one. I didn't mean to drag y'all out. The video that's uploading right now, it was supposed to have been uploaded earlier. And then I was giving you a heads up that we would be doing a show tonight. And it is at 62%. So it's definitely not going to be done. Probably not tonight. I don't know what's going on with that. But I'm not deleting none of the video clips. Not until it's done. Hey, Rita. It's good to see you. I hate the way that the screen's set up. Guys, I am working on a different setup to do the live shows. And what I'm going to do, my camera, I'm looking at you guys right now. The camera's here. My screen is here. The comments are over here. So I'm looking around, and I hate looking down at the screen of the comments and talking to you, because I've seen other videos that do that, and it does. For me personally, it seems like they're trying to ignore me, and there's 1,000 people watching it, and I feel like it's to me. Fuya, how are you doing? Awesome. I think I pronounced that right. Paihuya. I tried. I'm not good at reading. I apologize if I said that wrong. I wasn't making a joke about it. We were just very happy to see you. Definitely. Hey, don't get in that. Come here. Come. Do you want to see? You're a sweet girl. This is the deaf one. What I was getting at, what I'm getting set up, I'm going to have my screen the way it is now, but I'm putting the camera here to where I'll have the screen up, but as I'm looking at the screen, I can see the comments, see everything, but it'll be as though I'm looking at you, talking to you, and telling you, these encounters and these articles. And I think it'll just work out better. I know I'm not the only one that feels like I'm talking to somebody when I'm watching a live show. It feels like they're talking to me, but I'm looking at the screen and they're looking off to the side. And it's strange, but I'm strange. So that's a good thing. Okay. What we're going to do, I am going to do this one. This will be I think this is maybe another attack, but these are in reference to the werewolf creatures, the dogman creatures. And then we'll have another one, which will be an article based off reports. And then we're going to do another part of The Last Straw. And that was about the family that was having this ongoing situation with these walking wolves on their property, and they had to move. We've got a little bit of information. I think it goes back. All right, this goes back before that article when we had shared that with you. That was really a fascinating one. But what we're going to do tonight will bring us back before those events. So here we go. All right, this will be on the missing, presumed by Dogman. Gracie's laying down. Praise Jesus. Thank you, Lord. She is a destructor. All right, August 19th, 2009, Lexington, Georgia, Oglethorpe County, rural Howard Thaxton Road, which is a heavily wooded dirt road off of paved Elberton Road. The entrance to this dirt road is right across from the Lexington Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. 77-year-old Lothar Karl Schwader, a retired German professor, and 65-year-old Sherry Schwader, a librarian, husband and wife, described as gentle and kind, and they were both animal lovers themselves, with many dogs and cats, but it was determined none of them were involved in the attack. Paramedics responded to a call from some Jehovah's Witnesses who were walking on the same rural dirt road and had found a dead couple by their vehicle, which was close to the victim's home. When the paramedics responded, they found a gruesome scene. Both victims had numerous canine bites from head to toe. The bodies were 12 feet apart from each other on opposite sides of the small road. Sherry's shirt was off and bloodied under the car. It appeared Lothar had attempted to pull out his cell phone but was overcome in the attack or had tried to run. There were non-aggressive dogs standing around the victim, said the paramedics. These stray dogs had been seen around town by people and they had known about them for a while, but had not showed any signs of aggression. A spokesman from the Humane Society, Adam Godford, said this kind of attack is extremely rare and you are more likely to be killed by a bolt of lightning. A man that lived at the end of the dirt road where the attack happened told the sheriff's department that the pack of dogs had never showed any signs of aggression, and I do not believe they are the culprits. They have never been mean to anyone or anything. Authorities dismissed his claim, blaming the pack of dogs anyway. Even though the paramedics who arrived at the scene and the homeowner who watered and fed them all claimed they were not aggressive, the authorities claimed they were when they attempted to round them all up. It's believed Sherry was attacked while walking, and the coroner's report does not specify what killed her. It just says unknown animal attack. James Matthews, the coroner, also stated that the bodies had been there for about 24 hours, and it was the weirdest case he's ever investigated in his 28 years. Authorities reported that she was killed around 3 a.m. while walking at night, and her husband went to look for her and was attacked and killed also. It makes no sense that her 77-year-old husband would wait until 3 a.m. to go look for her. Authorities said there were signs of a fight where the two bodies were found. There were shoe prints and large paw prints in the mud. One of the deputies said it looked like the dog was walking on its hind legs, possibly a bipedal dogman. And it was very weird how large these paw prints were. I have never seen paw prints this big. 11 dogs and 5 puppies were seized that night, and their DNA matched nothing found on the victims, but the authorities held the dogs anyway. Then they went out and seized 20 cats. No DNA from the victims was found on any of the cats. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations came in and blamed a black bear for the attack. Then they changed their story when it was realized there's no black bears in that area, and the bite and scratch marks did not match a black bear. The neighbor said she saw the couple leave together in their car at 3 a.m. The authorities did not follow the lead of the neighbor's claims and dismissed the neighbor as not credible. This would make 2 neighbors' testimony that was dismissed. In all probability, the couple was lured out of the safety of their car close to their home by a dogman that had watched them leave, and then either darted across their car to get their attention, played injured, or simulated a baby's cry, similar to what happened to Dr. Nancy Shaw, and the couple stopped and exited their vehicle to see what it was, giving the dogman or dogmen an opportunity to attack, but not without a fight from at least the husband. This is what the evidence truly shows through paw prints, bodily injuries, and neighbors' testimonies. The final sad part of this cover-up is that all 16 dogs and all 20 cats and all 5 puppies were euthanized in a 90-minute period, even though none of them had any DNA on them or in their stomachs from the 2 victims. The sheriff demanded their carcasses be cremated immediately. Was it the dogs that were cremated, or was it a dogman cremated? Why was the cremation ordered so quickly? The Georgia Bureau of Investigations released a statement saying there's a lot of strange things happening in Lexington and there's heavy woods in the area, and everyone should keep their head up when walking and know your surroundings and what's in your area. If you see anything out of the ordinary, do not investigate but call law enforcement. Later, the National Guard showed up in Lexington with tanks, helicopters, and spotlights in the woods at night and shots being fired. The public was told these were blanks and being used for simulation. They were there for 1 week. The real question is, was the National Guard just practicing, or were they taking care of the real problem, a man killing dogmen? No photos of this couple could be located, but photos of the general area of Howard Thaxton Road are included. And that would be this picture right here. See if I can get this up for you so you can see. It's a little tricky to do this. Here we go. I don't know why the wording is backwards on there. I think my screen's backwards again. But that's the road. Looks like a lot of the roads around here. Wow. Okay, back. Okay. Kim's trying to find one of the babies. Making sure I haven't missed anyone. Since we get the what? Okay. As soon as we get finished up, if any of you have anything you'd like to share with us, I will post the link in the comments where you can hop on here. Okay. No. Okay. Make sure I was reading the right one. Sorry. All right. This one is titled Human Remains or Humanish Animal Dogman Remains. The year was July 29th, 2021, and the location is Livingston, Texas, Polk County, south of town on Highway 59. The information source for this report is Public Report of Remains leading to an investigation by the sheriff, coroner, and anthropologist DNA samples that came back as animal. The sheriff's department was notified of possible human remains just south of Livingston, Texas, on the side of the road. The bone remains were first stated as being found along a wooded stretch of highway by the sheriff's department. Then the sheriff's department changed this statement and said they were investigating a separate issue, a wreck on the highway, and discovered the bone remains in a wooded area by chance. Polk County detectives were called to the scene because the bones the deputies found were believed to be possible human remains. When arriving, detectives said the remains looked all wrong. It had a humanish skull with fingers and toes. A coroner arrived and could not make a determination what the remains were, so a forensic anthropologist was called to the scene due to the deformities that made the bones look animalistic in nature. Of note, when a coroner cannot make a determination that remains are human, it is obvious the bone remains are something the coroner has not seen before on the human side. Hence the need for an anthropologist. The skull appeared to be human with animal deformities, which is all they would say. Did the skull actually have a snout, one like a dogman skull would have? Later, the altered statement to the public said the remains are human 100%. The fact is, the deputies called it humanish. The coroner had not seen anything like it and didn't know what it was, but called it humanish with animal deformities. And the anthropologist says it looks humanish, but the DNA that came back said it was animal. They all three agreed it was humanish. On that, they came to an agreement. This sounds more like dogman remains, whose DNA says animal, as in canine. Interestingly, and beyond just coincidence, in this same area of Livingston, Texas, Polk County, and not far from Highway 59, 2 other victims mysteriously disappeared, only to be returned by something later in an area previously searched. Previously, in 2015, 20-year-old Kyle Thomas Rugg vanished while fishing near Lake Livingston State Park, only to have his bone remains turn up 5 years later in 2020 in an open wooded area previously searched. Also in 2021, 59-year-old Gary Earl Nash disappeared while fishing along Rocky Creek near his home in Bentwood Bend subdivision, only to have his remains returned 2 weeks later by something that had broken his neck and returned him to the same spot he was abducted from, face down in Rocky Creek, an area previously searched. And this is, I don't know if the words would be backwards to you, but it is for me. Highway 59, Livingston. Hey. Kim may have snapped her finger. Hey, come. And Kim locked Gracie in here with me, so let me let her out. No, you keep locking her in here, baby. Well, they heard something. They heard a leaf fall or something. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. Highway 59, Livingston, Texas, where the humanish animal remains were found in a wooded area. And this is a picture of that highway, that location. Let me try to get this lined up. I'd be very leery of a report like that, where if a coroner cannot make sense of bones that are found, that's scary. For me personally, that's scary. And then he calls in an anthropologist, and all they could say is it is animal-like, but they don't know. That's really, really freaky. All right. This is the one I was wanting to get to. This will be a good one. We don't have no photos with it, but that's all right. I'm going to get some water. Excuse me. I'm trying to keep Gracie in here so she doesn't get crazy. You okay? It's okay. It's okay. All right, this is the ones we did about the family that was dealing with the walking wolves, the upright walking wolves, and they had to move. That was family. It was in Mississippi, and they believed they were being hunted by the wolves, and they finally left and they moved, I believe, to Maryland. Anyway, this is right before that. I have not read this at all. This is just reading the title. So I may be off on it, but it is part of that. So we're going to get with that. We don't have anybody here that I missed. I hope not. All right, here we go. This is titled, Before the Last Straw, the Owner's Terrifying Family History of Being Haunted and Hunted by Walking Wolves in Mississippi. This is a sequel to the previous article, which we had shared last week, I believe. The year is decades past, all the way up to 2022. The location is Taylor, Mississippi, in Lafayette County. The information source is multiple family eyewitnesses over 5 generations, government search and eradicate agents, video from police body and dash cams, hair samples, fingers, dens, police reports, and hospital stays. Here. There you go. Okay. Okay. All right, we'll start with the preface. The following account is a sequel to the previous article, The Last Straw. A vengeful pack of walking wolves forced family to move from a 5th generation property. Going back in time, the landowner relates the family history of being haunted and hunted by what the family had called walking wolves. The current term dogman was not known to them or to the owner's great-grandfather decades ago. They simply called them by what they saw. The events were unsettling, terrifying, and while other people claim they have learned to coexist with these creatures in peace on their property in a live and let live scenario without much danger, such was not the case here. In addition, one of the government agents involved in search and eradication of killer dogmen finally, after all these years, tells the owner what happened to the injured Bigfoot they came across. The red-haired Bigfoot, who the owner claimed was his friend and came to his rescue, saving his life from 4 walking wolves in an ambush-style attack near his property, within sight of his own house. The owner's wife also relates what happened to the owner while he was hospitalized, recovering from a government agent accidentally shooting a walking wolf and hitting the owner at the same time. The terrifying family history begins. First off, let me start by saying our property is only a few acres in Taylor, Mississippi. The family has had the property for over 50 years. My grandfather at the time was a handyman doing odd jobs for people and also worked in our town's grocery store. At the time, my grandfather was 22 years old. He would get up at 4 a.m. each day and walk to work, which was 2 or 3 miles each way since he did not own a vehicle. He did this every day for years. Then he met my grandmother and they started dating. When he would get off work, he would go to her house, which was 1 mile the opposite direction of his house. He would leave her home 2 hours before it got dark, and as he would walk home, he would cut through on a trail, reducing his walking distance home. One evening, my grandfather was heading home, cutting through the trails like he had done so many times before. He was about a mile into the woods when he felt that something was off, as if he was being watched. As he's walking, he hears something in the distance moving. When he would stop, it would stop. It was getting darker, and all he had for light was 4 matches, so he ripped his shirt off and put some dry leaves in it, tied it to a nice-sized stick, and then he applied some tree sap. While he was doing this, the sound of something approaching was getting louder and was now just a few yards away with it almost completely dark. He attempted to light his makeshift torch with one of his last 4 matches. As it started to blaze and light up the surrounding darkness, he saw just 20 feet away a monster standing 8 feet tall with a head 3 times the size of any known wolf. It had a mouth overfilled with teeth, arms down past his knees, back bent legs, and the body a dark gray color. It had a pissed off look, like he had wronged it somehow, and it was going to rip him to shreds with evil intent. He noticed its elongated fingers with 3-inch nails, and then it let out a growl as saliva dripped from its mouth as if it had rabies. The creature charged him, but he was able to move slightly out of the way, and he pressed his makeshift torch to its side, setting its fur on fire, burning it badly. It screamed in pain and made sounds like a woman being butchered, and then it ran off like a dog. With the lungs burning and labored breathing, he had a 1/4 of a mile yet to run to his house, and he realized he wasn't going to make it. His torch was almost out. He was able to extend the longevity of the torch by stopping a few minutes to catch his breath and readjusting the torch. Then he had heard a roar in the distance as this thing was crashing its way towards him. He took off running for his life, and he could see his house, but the creature was closing the gap, so he accepted the fact he was going to die with tears running down his face. He yelled for his dad, my great-grandfather, with everything he had left before collapsing of exhaustion on the ground. He found himself in his house with his father in the kitchen, looking out the window that faced the woods, and his hunting rifle near the door where he had always kept it. My great-grandfather explained to my grandfather that when he heard his call and saw the torchlight with him on the ground, and this approaching massive creature less than 15 yards away, closing in, without thinking, he grabbed his hunting rifle and fired 2 shots through the window, shattering it. He hit it in the shoulder, and after chambering another round, he hit it in the chest, causing it to flee back into the woods. This first terrifying encounter is what started it all with these walking wolves. So after all that happened to my grandfather, his dad, my great-grandfather, never saw the creature in detail to know what it was. His father started dropping him off and picking him up from work until he was able to fix up an old car that had been sitting there. As days passed, he only saw the creature one time sitting up on the ridge, which was a distance away. After that, he couldn't see the thing for months, and he went back to his regular life and ended up marrying his girlfriend, later having a son, my dad. And 6 months after he was born, strange things started happening around the house, which was built on the same family property. Tapping on the window, doorknobs being turned and tested, things like that. It would happen on a nightly basis. So one night, he stayed up waiting for the strange things to happen, which it did. And as it was tapping on the window, he snuck out on the side of the house to see what was making the sound. And to his surprise, it was the same creature he had shot twice on the night from a few years ago. The same scar was on its side from being burned by the torch. The creature had not seen him yet, so he raised his rifle, chambered around, and then the creature took off as he was firing shots at it. Only being focused on the one that took off, he did not see the other one that was creeping up on him until it was almost too late. Baffled that there was 2 of them, he fired a shot at the second one while he quickly retreated into the house. Years went by with no further incident or sightings, but then a new group of walking wolves would traverse the property, leaving behind tracks, and sometimes they would get a visual on them, but with no interaction from them. One night, my grandfather went to his son's room, my dad, to check on him and saw that creature watching his son sleep from a window across from the bed. Anger overtook him, and he rushed to the window with just a foot between them, separated by glass. It smirked and walked off. Another encounter didn't happen until my dad was 3 years old. My dad said he had a dog friend that he had been seeing for months, and it would make certain gestures for him to come out and play. My grandfather, not thinking much of this and assuming it was an imaginary dog friend, was shocked when he heard his son say, "Doggy only comes out at night." It then clicked to my grandfather that this was one of the walking wolves. He called a few of his friends and told them what had been happening, so they devised a plan to kill it. They got a couple of bear traps and placed them under his son's window, hiding them in the brush. As night fell, my dad is fast asleep, so my grandfather carried my dad into the opposite side of the house to his grandmother's room, and then returned to his son's room with the lights out and with his rifle pointed at the open bedroom window. He had one of his friends hide next to a shed 15 yards away with a rifle pointed at the direction of the bedroom window also. The creature sensed the presence of his friend, so the creature approached the shed and tried to enter as his friend screamed. My grandfather ran to the window and fired a shot but missed, and the creature took off running. The creature stopped coming for a while, for years in fact, and my dad grew into his teens, and his dad, my grandfather, told him the history of what had happened on that property and not to go out at night. Thinking this just boogeyman stories to get him to go to sleep, he would wait till his parents were asleep, and then he would sneak out of the house and meet a friend at a lake a quarter-mile from the house. On one night, he hadn't made it 15 yards from the house when he sees a figure standing by a tree. "Who's there?" my dad said. So the creature stepped into the light, and everything his father had told him started flooding to his mind. With every step he took backwards, the creature stepped forwards. Reaching his window and diving into his room, he slammed the window shut just as the monster pressed his face against the glass, licking it from the bottom to the top. This left my dad traumatized. He didn't speak about it for weeks, and he didn't leave the house. Eventually, with the help of his dad, he was able to cope with it. The creature stopped coming around for years, and he hadn't had any more encounters until late in his adulthood. 20 years went by, and life got back to normal for my family, and then I came along. I had a normal childhood growing up, having no encounters with these walking wolves that my dad and grandfather had told me about. However, when I was 6 or 7, I did have an encounter with a woodsman, or as people like to call them, Bigfoot. I would play out front by the wood line, and it would watch me making waving motions. I never felt threatened. I would even say it became my friend. I would go into the woods, and it would leave trinkets for me. He kept the coyotes away from me. This went on for years and into my young adulthood. I didn't fear the woods at all. I was friends with an 8-foot tall Bigfoot. The closest we ever got to each other was about 10 feet. I was in my 20s at the time, and my life took a change for the worse. I would spend hours in the woods, and one time I was looking for my friend, and I couldn't find him, and I had this ominous feeling I needed to head home, so I did. I had the feeling something was watching me and following me with light footsteps. So being naive, I thought it was my Bigfoot friend, and I called out to him where I had heard the noise. 40 feet away from me was this dog crouching down in the brush, and it stood up. It was 7 to 8 feet tall, muscled, with dark brown fur, almost black, and sharp-looking teeth. I never felt the need to carry a weapon before then. My mind raced. Can I outrun it to my house? It's 1,000 feet away. Then it points at me with its creepy clawed fingers, and then 3 more came out, and I was surrounded. I was scared out of my wits, and I put my hands up like fighting these things was an option. Then a glance of something bulldozing through the forest with a mighty roar like King Kong itself. Never heard anything like that before, and it literally brought me to my knees, paralyzed with fear. It was my Bigfoot friend, and he was totally pissed off. Excuse me. I never saw him that way, looking demonic, and I can't exactly give a description. I knew he was 8.5 feet tall because I measured it next to a tree, 500 to 600 pounds, all muscle from head to feet, 4 feet wide at the shoulders, the thickness of his chest to back being 2 to 3 feet. No neck, red shaggy hair, and muscles looking like pyramids. He got between me and them, and we were 2 feet apart. He shoves me to leave, and I start running past him with a smaller 6-foot walking wolf giving chase to me, with it launching itself 8 feet in the air faster than anything known to man, passing the Bigfoot. My Bigfoot friend turned and grabbed its ankle and slammed it to the ground hard. The ground shook, and it stomped its head, killing it instantly. I started to run again, losing sight of all of them, but noticing all 3 walking wolves were on top of my friend. I told my dad what was going on, and he called my grandfather, who said he saw the Bigfoot on many occasions, and they had a mutual respect for each other. My grandfather felt it only right to help him since he had saved his grandson. He went to the location I gave him, finding the walking wolves and the woodsman down to 2 wolves, asking if the second one was missing a bottom jaw. The woodsman was bleeding from his neck, shoulders, and stomach, and was losing strength, and he dropped to one knee as my grandfather shot, hitting both creatures as they retreated, yelping. He didn't go near the woodsman because it was severely injured and it might attack, but he stayed with it for a couple of hours to make sure the wolves didn't come back. It recovered some of its stamina and stumbled off. Later that week, my grandmother found my grandfather mauled to death in the barn. Authorities came and said it was a cat of some sort. Also, Fish and Wildlife came along with other government agencies and stayed on the property for a couple of days. We mourned the death of my grandfather, oblivious to everything else around us and what had been happening on our property. We believed the killers were the walking wolves that my grandfather had shot. I didn't have any friends at that time except for the woodsman that could have possibly died from his wounds. So my dad got some of his friends to go kill the supposed mountain lion. They tracked the predators in the woods, finding gunfire and heavy chaos that went on for a quarter of a mile with blood splatter everywhere. This unnerved all of them, and they abandoned their objective, not knowing whether those walking wolves were dead or alive. It made us feel robbed without ever getting closure. This event happened in around 2000 to 2001. I never did see the woodsman that saved my life again. A government agent tells the owner what became of the woodsman. Let me first say, I am sorry for your family's loss and your remarkable family history with these beings. I think I know what it's like to have a special friend, though mine doesn't get to roam as free as yours did. We received a call from the game warden of Mississippi, and myself and 2 other agents came out to the area. We got there the day after they had removed your grandfather's body from the barn, and we traveled to view his body. After this, we were dropped off by a sheriff's officer and entered the pines. After traveling 3/4 of a mile, I located a large male Bigfoot, badly injured but still alive. We approached him and spoke in a calming voice and asked if he was okay and needed help, and that myself and my friends were there to help him if he wanted. We got enough courage to move close to him and touch him, and asking him about his wounds. His neck and stomach were the 2 worst places, so we tranquilized him with a dart and ordered to transport him back to the doctor in Virginia. About a mile beyond that spot, we intercepted a dogman and killed it, and then flew it all the way back to Virginia. All of them were wild, with only one of them having a different bullet hole in its chest. After being on the doctor's side of the building for 5 weeks, once again we tranquilized Bigfoot and carried him off to Hawk Mountain, close to 3 Forks in the northern Georgia mountains, and we turned him loose. The owner's story continues. A walking wolf enters his bedroom. First of all, let me start off by saying, since we lost my grandfather, we didn't have any more encounters with the walking wolves. We could hear their howls and knew they were passing through the property, but they never came close to our house. Me and my dad would walk the property once a month armed, just to make sure there were no disturbances or people that were not supposed to be there. We took our ATVs and traversed the property early one afternoon without incident, but as we turned to go back, I noticed a path at the end of the property that goes down. I had not noticed this before. I went to see where it led, and about 30 feet away is a hole in the ground, 4 feet across in diameter and down at an angle. As I got close to the hole, it smelled like death, and shining my light down in it, went deep, and at the entrance there were deer bones and other animal bones. I started hearing breathing like something was sleeping, and then the wind changed direction, carrying my scent into the den, and the breathing stopped and turned into a light growl. So we hightailed it out of there. In the evening, I went to my dad's house and we were discussing what it was. We realized it was a rest stop for the walking wolves that traversed the property. We heard a blood-curdling scream like howl, and my dad thinks it's pissed that we were at its home. No, I said to my dad, it's not pissed at you because you stood back at a distance. It's pissed at me because my scent is all over it from getting too close. I went home and stayed in, not seeing this thing, so I thought this was a one-time thing. As a precautionary measure, I sent my wife and daughter to her sister's for the week. A few days go by without incident, and I'm thinking this thing has forgotten about the misunderstanding. I didn't go back there, but it had tracked me to my house, watching me. Knowing that I was alone, I wasn't going to bring my dad into this. If something happened to him, I wouldn't be able to get over it, as I felt I was the cause of my grandfather's death over 20 years previously. I usually kept a .45 in a case next to the bed, but decided to sleep with it under my pillow with a hunting knife as well. My instincts served me well. That night, I was in a deep sleep, my body trembling like I was in imminent danger. With the moonlight shining in my room, I slowly opened my eyes to a wolf in my bedroom. It had gotten into my house and found me in my bedroom. I couldn't spring up or it would have gotten me instantly. I prayed hard and swung my hand as fast as I could grab my gun under the pillow and fired shots as it pounced. I tried to scramble out of the room as it grabbed me and threw me against the wall so hard that my body left an imprint. I was disoriented and losing consciousness. I fired again, hitting it in the chest, which stopped it briefly enough for me to make it into my bathroom. I barricaded myself in the bathroom, knowing it would be in here in less than a minute, with my left shoulder bleeding and possibly dislocated. The wolf started chipping away at the door, and I had about 6 rounds left in a mag, but it was on the nightstand dresser. I knew I wasn't making it out of the bathroom alive, so I fired 2 shots as it tried to come in, and then I heard a rifle go off, and I fired the remaining bullets through the bathroom door as the creature retreated through the front door. The shootout between me and this walking wolf only lasted 6 to 7 minutes, but it seemed like an eternity. My dad's house was about 2 minutes away. He had heard the shots coming from my house, and he grabbed his rifle and boxer shorts and hopped on his ATV and made it to my house in 2 minutes. And as he got there, it seemed everything was fine as he circled the house. Then he saw the back door was open and the door handle was twisted hard, breaking the mechanism. He proceeded to enter the house with caution and heard more gunfire coming from upstairs. He quickly went halfway up the stairs and saw the wolf making light work of the bathroom door. He put 6 shots in the creature's back along with my gunfire. The creature fled out the back door. I was rushed to the hospital, and when asked, I had told them I had heard a noise outside of my house and had rushed out to see what it was and got attacked by a big cat. They gave me a rabies shot and a few other ones, cleaned the wounds, which were 5 gashes around 10 inches in length where it had grabbed me, and they said they were not going to close the wounds due to infection reasons. After that, I went back to my house in the morning with my dad and examined the house. There was blood all through the bathroom leading outside. The blood outside was a dark burgundy color. My dad and his friends fixed my doors and reinforced them. After that, me and my dad decided to sell this house as it was no longer safe to live there. If my dad had been a deep sleeper or not woken up when he did that night, the wolf came into this bedroom, I would not be here talking to you. I sleep with the lights on now. I survived the dogman, but next time I might not be so lucky. This is why I'm leaving the property behind. further terrifying encounters in the North Georgia mountains. Last week was my dad's birthday, so my dad and I and a couple of friends decided to go camping and hiking. I suggested the northern Georgia mountains and the Appalachian Trail for personal reasons, as you will soon see why. We took our RV on a 6-hour journey, reaching our destination around 7 p.m. We got settled in, unhooked our ATVs, and set up a campfire and told some ghost stories, with it being uneventful. We went to bed and got up the next morning, hopping on our ATVs to check out the surroundings. I was personally searching for my long-lost friend, knowing I would never find him. We were armed with handguns and ARs in the RV. About a half mile in and down a ravine, we were discussing where we should go when everything went silent. We unholstered our weapons, ready to engage what was making its way to us, and it sounded heavy. A family of Sasquatches, and they were not happy. We were impeding into their territory. They were throwing rocks at us from a distance and whooping. My dad wanted to fire a shot in their direction, and I urged him not to, as it would make matters only worse. From a distance, I saw 3 juveniles crouched behind some shrubs, and while our attention was on them, a massive one, very angry, was approaching from the rear. It stopped about 150 feet away and roared. In fear, one of my dad's friends fired a shot, barely missing the massive one. Then it charged him, and I got between him and the Bigfoot. It was almost 9 feet tall, with red hair and patches of gray scars all over its neck and stomach. As I looked closely, it looked like an aged version of my old friend. I realized by its wounds that it was my old friend, and I started crying, but the Bigfoot didn't feel that way. He had a look as if he wanted to kill us, and this terrified me, and I was forced to raise my gun towards him, and I called him by his name I had given him years back, Big Red, but it had no effect, and I told the others to slowly back away to the ATVs. Reaching them, we peeled out, and Big Red gave chase on all fours, launching a log, barely missing us. We got back to the RV unarmed and shaken, so we didn't go outside the RV for the rest of the day. I was scared, confused, and depressed all the same time. My longtime friend was not my friend anymore. The next morning, with my mind still on things, we went fishing, and it helped. We caught some fish, spotted bass, and trout. We were out a few hours, about 1.5 miles from our campsite, and when we were on our ATVs heading back to camp, we saw movement in the brush, keeping pace with us. I initially thought it was a walking wolf, but I was wrong. It was the other kind, jet black, 9 feet tall, and looked like a hybrid from the underworld movies. It gained enough speed to take our cooler of fish, and it smirked as if to say, "I'm taking your fish, and there's nothing you can do about it." We packed up that night and left. This guy's had a lifetime of stuff. Jeez. A government agent shoots a walking wolf and the owner. I was walking on my property and I came across something in the brush, and it happened to be one of those walking wolves stalking something, which turned out to be a young government special agent. I yelled out to the guy, "Watch out!" The walking wolf got pissed off that I had alerted its prey to its presence, and the walking wolf came after me instead. The agent fired shots, which ended up hitting me and the walking wolf when we both collided with each other. The owner's wife relates what happened to him after he got shot. "Hi, I'm the owner's wife. Let me start off by saying I was away when all of this happened. I've just only been able to piece together what happened from my father-in-law and what the authorities and doctors have told me. My dad had been diagnosed with kidney cancer and lost his battle last week, so I had been in Pennsylvania when I received a call from my husband's dad saying my husband was in the hospital in serious condition. So I was in an upset condition, just losing my dad and now maybe my husband. I couldn't even drive, so my sister drove us home overnight. When I met my husband's dad, he said my husband had suffered head injuries from a fall and he had been shot twice by a supposed FBI agent by accident who was trying to fend off a bear, actually a walking wolf. He said the reason they were on our property in the first place was that they had received a tip that my husband was involved in illegal arms dealing, and they had obtained a so-called warrant, which was a lie because when I asked to see it, they would not produce one. I was denied access to my husband in the hospital, and they had an armed guard watching his room. My lawyer is dealing with this issue now. He has been in a medical-induced coma until the swelling in his head goes down. I did not turn my phone into them, and I denied any more access to them on our property. I kept the photos he took the day of his accident. I will wait till he wakes up because I want to know what really happened. The owner is released from the hospital. All false charges are dropped, and a demonic dogman forces the family to move. The owner recovered in the hospital and was released to go home. The false charges of illegal arms dealing were dropped so that the government could have full access to his property whenever they wanted, without him or his family being there, without hindrance or interruption. They wanted to check out the walking wolf den and examine the area where they traveled. They set up a kill zone around the den with the idea that one of these walking wolves came and entered the den, they would just open fire. A short time later, there was a large 9-foot jet black demonic-looking dogman roaming the property. The owner's wife is involved in a car accident because of this huge dogman and 2 others. The scent of his wife and his kids' teddy bears were taken from the car and that was ditched on the side of the road by these walking wolves and torn up inside. The government offers them money to sell their property, and by now they're sick of living their lives in fear all the time. So there are 2 choices: take the money or be forced to leave, so they sell the property. They moved to Maryland, where the owner decided to look into being a park ranger. He does, and it quickly becomes apparent that the government wants to set him up to be disposed of because they sent him to a location where there was a goat man creature. The owner got out of there quickly on an ATV and survived. The owner's final testimony and his father's murder by a walking wolf. A lot has unfolded in the last couple of months, and I've been thankful for all the support I've been given in dealing with what my family has went through with these walking wolves. I'm glad to get some closure. My dad's death was caused by these walking wolves. My kids told me their grandpa saved them while in a public park. My dad died of his injuries, and they would not let me see him before he passed or after. My kids were interrogated the whole time the agency had them. My dad's last word to my kids were, "It's not your fault. Tell them it was a black bear if anyone asks." It wasn't a black bear. It was a walking wolf. My family has been cursed for generations simply for existing. I almost lost my kids to these creatures. I've been tracking the one that killed my dad for a couple of days now. To my horror, there is a super pack migrating. I haven't been home for a few days. This very well may be my last testimony. That being said, there are original videos of these walking wolves from body and police dash cams, hair samples, fingers, and a skull. I don't expect to make it out alive, but if I do, it won't be without a body of one of these walking wolves. Take care. Wow. That was intense. I could not imagine. That's the end of that one. I'll tell you, that guy, when he and his family have dealt with these things, that's insane. I mean, all you can do is pray and arm up with the suit of God and as much gunpowder and lead as you can pack. You know, it's crazy. I had a couple of years ago, I had heard an interview with a family, and there was a family that lived, it may have been the same family, but I heard the actual interview where they interviewed the man. And they had, from what I remember of it, and some of you may have heard it before too, the family, the land belonged in the family for a lot of generations, and it was a pretty large parcel of property. I don't remember the how big, but it was a lot of land. The Native Americans had the land at one time, and what they had done, the Sasquatch creatures were on it, and so they had an agreement where the natives had their side, you know, where they would hunt and they would gather and do their thing, and the Sasquatch, they had their side. Well, these werewolf creatures moved in, and they decided, they started encroaching on the land the Native Americans on their side of it. Well, time went on, these werewolves were coming in and started attacking the tribes, attacking the children and just whoever they could get. And I don't remember the exact details. What it boiled down to, the chief of the tribe sent his, he had to come up with a plan to get rid of these werewolves because they couldn't beat them. And so what they had done, they sent some of their warriors over to the Sasquatch side where they live. And these guys went in and dug up some of the bones of the deceased Sasquatch. They got some skulls and some other parts of the bodies that were buried over there. And they had to leave, and they got out of there because the Sasquatch were coming. Well, when they come back, the chief told them, take the bones up to the end of the property where these werewolf creatures have moved in and ditch them up there. And so the warriors did that. And when they got back, the Sasquatch ended up showing up at the Native Americans where their tribe was. And I don't know if it was the chief, but somehow they communicated to the Sasquatch. It wasn't us who have went in and messed with your sacred grounds. It was these werewolves. And a big battle ensued. The Sasquatch went up to get the bones of their deceased, and they had a big battle, a big war up on that property, and the Sasquatch won. Well, then years later, up to not too many years ago, the family that owns it now, they've had Sasquatch on it ever since they had the property. And these werewolves have started coming back around, and they're having problems with them. And I don't remember. It may have been the same family. I'm not sure. It's been so long ago. My memory is very patchy on that. But it was definitely a crazy, crazy one. Oh, Johnny Half is here. Oh, it's good to see you. And Sasquatch Omega. Wow. That is awesome. Mid-South Sasquatch. Man, it's so good to see all of you. Thank you so much for hopping over here with us. Look, I am going to put the link in the description, or in the comments here, not the description. I'll put the link in here. If any of you have anything, if you'd like to come on right quick and share something with us, I will definitely put the link up there for you. Oh, Michael, thank you so much. I just reading, these glasses are not my normal glasses. I can see with them, but they're a little too strong. Oh, there's Werewolf 5674. It's good to see you. We were just talking about werewolves. But let me I'm going to get the link right quick. And if y'all have something you'd like to share with us, an encounter, a story, something you've witnessed, or something that you know about, please jump on and join us. I'm putting the link in right now. All right, there it is. It is in the chat. If y'all have something that you'd like to share or contribute to what I shared tonight, and for those of you that are just joining us, the articles that we share over here, these articles come from our brother Don Moore, who's with us here tonight. He does all the research. He does all the work to making this happen so that we can share them with all of you. Oh, brother Mike Stone and Sharon's here. Wow. And what a great night. So awesome to see everyone here. And the link is in the comments if anyone would like to jump on, if you have something you'd like to share with us, or if you just want to jump on and praise the Lord. You're welcome to do it all. We're open. Nona Boss, Marty. Wow. I'm trying to, I just want to make sure I haven't missed anyone. It's so good to see everyone. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Clarence. Yeah, definitely, Brother Don. Thank you so much for the work that you've done to make this possible, that we can share these. And a lot of these articles, if you didn't know, if you didn't hear it earlier, a lot of what he's sending us, he is getting from audio file. He's actually listening to it and then putting it into text form. And then he's printing them off. He'll go through them, edit it, just spell check, make sure punctuation, everything's correct. And then he'll send them up here to me. Now, he lives in Central Florida and I am in Northwest Florida. So it's not something he can just hand me, down the street. He's actually having to put them in the mail and pay to have them sent up here. And I am trying to get something worked. I got so much on my plate right now. I can't stay on top of anything. 50 caliber air rifle. 560 months on a payment plan. A 50 caliber air rifle. I heard about them. Yeah, that'd be a whole bunch of pumping to get that much pressure and want to shoot a bullet that big. Oh, thank you, Johnny. Yep, absolutely. We got respect for all of you here. The greatest people that's ever come across YouTube are right here with us right now. And we're very, very grateful to have all of you. Thank you so very much. What a blessing. Thank you, Clarence. We absolutely love you as well. We love everyone that's here with us right now. We've been beyond blessed to have a family like what we have here with all of you. It's, that doesn't happen in a normal world. And we've been very blessed. This orchestration of the Holy Spirit at work, without a doubt. Do y'all have, if you have any questions or anything you'd like to post or ask me, I don't know that I can answer them, but I'll do my best. Please just put them in all caps and I'll put them up so everyone else can see it. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. Our brother Mike Stone. Man, what a busy time we're in right now. I want to make sure there's something else I was wanting to share with you. Let me make sure I got it all out. A lot of this stuff is minor. Oh, Mid-South Sasquatch.
What's going on, Donnie?
It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Let me turn this off here.
Awesome. So, how things going in your neck of the woods?
They're going pretty good. I'm working mostly. I'm like, I've picked up an extra shift, and so I'm working days and nights, and
Wow.
trying to stay busy.
And, got to take some time for yourself, though.
Keep my bills paid and a roof over my head.
Yeah,
so I haven't really seen any new stuff by you. You don't go out no more, or
Yeah, I am. I've been so busy. Uh, right now, I'm doing a lot of work uh, for several people. We got a friend of ours that just bought property pretty close to our home. It's close enough I drive the tractor down there, and I've been clearing his property for him. We have a guy directly behind us that he's got supposed to have 32 yards of field dirt coming. I've got to do that. I've still got 3 or 4 weeks of work left on the other property where I'm clearing. We've been trying to get our property set up. Hunting season's coming up, and we are trying to make a big presence there because we will eventually be moving there, and I do not want to have issues from the big guys once we get up there. We're going to have our animals there, and I don't want to get in a situation where I come out and our goats are missing or they're hurt or they're dead or something happens and I end up getting angry and turning it into a gunfight because you can't win those with those creatures. And I don't want it to get bad. And so I've been cutting roads through the property when I get time, and we're putting up shooting houses for hunting season. And what we're hoping, the thinking behind it is that property hasn't had human activity on it. And gee, I don't know, it's been a long time, probably 20 years, if not longer.
most definitely have some Sasquatch activity there. Most definitely.
Yeah.
I grew up in southern Louisiana, 25 miles west of New Orleans and 45 miles east of Baton Rouge, in a small town called Narco, which borders the Bonnie Carey Spillway.
Oh, wow.
And on my mother's side, her family dealt with skunk apes and swamp boogers for all their lives. My grandfather raised hogs, and they used to come up and steal the hogs out of the pen. And
Wow.
they lived about 10 miles out into the swamp. There was nobody out there. There was no neighbors. There was nothing but them, the swamp, and the boogers. And I can remember as a small child, uh, my daddy put me up on a fence and pointing out in the swamp and said, "You see that booger right there? You don't go out in the swamp. You don't play out there. You stay away from those things out there." And my mama has always told me, my mama growing up, she's always told me there were people. There were people that lived out in the swamp, to leave them alone. Don't go looking for them. Don't bother them.
Oh, yeah.
And so I heard stories all my life coming up about them, how they would come up in the yard, how they would take the animals. And my grandfather, he would take one of his best hogs, and he would take it out in the swamp and tie it up to a tree as an offering for them not to come up and keep stealing the farm.
Oh, yeah.
And that worked for a while. That worked for a while until, I don't know, something happened. I remember as a teenager, something happened with all the family. They called all the family down there, and I can't quite remember. All the family were carrying shotguns and guns down there to the farm, and not a lot was explained to me, but it had to do with the skunk apes down there. And my grandparents sold the property, sold everything, and moved further out to Prairieville, Louisiana. And they bought a house down there to where you could just see for miles all the way around the house. And it was nothing but flat land, no woods, nothing. And that's where they lived. That's where they lived until they both passed. And and it was to get away from all that down there in the swamp.
You know what's strange? I don't know what it is with the swamp, and I never really put it together until here. I know Louisiana well. I worked out of Galliano and Cut Off and Fouchon and Grand Isle for years, and Louisiana is swamp. South Louisiana is swamp. That's all there is to it. And
That's right.
all the areas that I've heard, 90% of the howling and just them yodel type sounds that they do, all of it's in the swamps. Where I had the bad encounter in Mariana, it's swamp on the backside, on the north side of that property is all swamp, and that's where you would always hear them screams at. And
Right.
Sometimes it sounds like an owl when the big river owls and hooties, but it is so intense. You could feel it. You could feel
it in your chest.
Yep, you could feel the vibrations. So loud, and it never dawned on me of it being the swamps. And Louisiana, all the encounters that I've heard other people's encounters, the swamps is where if something ends up missing or somebody's attacked, a vehicle torn apart or a house just beat down, it's always in the swamp. It's not out in the deep forest. It's in the swamp. You know, the woodlands that are right there on the edge of the swamp. And I never really put that together until you were just saying that. And it's crazy.
I'm subscribed to a channel. It's called The Lost and Forgotten. And it's houses that are log homes that are deep in the forest, that are abandoned, that are abandoned, homes that are abandoned. And I was looking at this one that came on here the other day. They were touring it. They were going through the house, and it looks like everybody just got up from where they were sitting, got out of the house, and never came back.
Wow.
Even the lights were still on. All the electricity was still on. The water was still running. And in the living room area, on top of the roof were big boulders on top of the roof. And the inside of the house, the ceiling was caved in. Rocks were thrown through the window. Big, huge rocks were thrown through the window. And these people were going through there wondering, what the hell happened? What happened here? And I made a comment down in the section. I said, either Dogman or Sasquatch attacked that house, and the people left. Of course, they took my comment off the deal, but I believe that's actually what happened. And I believe that's what happened to a lot of those abandoned homes out in the woods, that these people left it because they were getting, too much activity with Sasquatch and Dogman.
Yeah,
or werewolves. I really haven't seen a werewolf. Now I've been to a town in rural Georgia. I was coming back from Florida. We was in Florida, and we went through Georgia, and it was outside of Dillard, Georgia. I don't know if you ever heard of Dillard, Georgia or not, but this was a very, very small town. We stopped at a diner to get something to eat. As soon as we walked into the diner, everything stopped. Everybody just stopped and looked at us like, who the hell are these people? It was so quiet. I mean, when we sat there, it was sitting at the table, everybody was staring at us. The whole place. It was so eerie.
One of the outcast towns.
When we went to pay for our dinner and leave, there was two guys sitting at the counter. When one of them smiled at the other, he had canines in his upper jaw. I'm talking long canines, two of them on each side of his mouth.
Wow.
That scared the shit out of me. And I was thinking, this is a werewolf town. And after when we was leaving out, I turned and looked, and everybody was staring at us walking out. And I noticed every single person that was sitting down had canines in their mouth.
Holy mackerel. That's crazy. And everything's getting so strange everywhere.
And this was back in 2002.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really, really weird. And the only thing that The only reason why I remembered that is when you was talking about the werewolf subject. That was really weird. I've never been back to Georgia since then, and I love Georgia. And there's places like Dillard. There's a place called the Dillard House. They have a hotel there. It's called Dillard House. You sit down at a table. They have a revolving table, and everybody sits around this table. Not just family, but everybody that goes to. There's like 8 or 9 tables in the whole house. About 20 people sit around the table, and it revolves. You revolve the table, and they put everything like in the middle, like a buffet, and you serve yourself off the revolving table.
That's crazy.
It's pretty cool. They have like horse stables that you go riding up in the mountains. They have like a day trip and then a weekend trip where you go camping. But yeah, ever since that incident at that diner, and even my friend who's not into the cryptid world like I am, he freaked out. He's seen it himself. He was like, "Did you see the teeth in that guy?" And I said, "Yeah."
Was it only at the diner?
Huh?
Was it only at the diner you seen it, or was it all?
Yeah, just at the diner. It was just at the diner because it was nighttime when we was coming through. We stopped by to get something to eat, or late at night because we was driving. I lived in Memphis, Tennessee at the time, and we was driving back to Memphis, and we stopped to eat, and that was so freakish. I mean, it was so freaky.
Yeah, I'd have spooked. I'd have got real spooked over that.
I did. So it made me think of the movie The Howling, how that one town, was all werewolves. And I was telling him on the way home, I was like, them people are werewolves. And he was like, oh, come on. He said, they just had some extra long teeth. And I was like, really?
Yeah. If that was the case, you see them, a few times a year somewhere. You see people, and I've never seen nobody like that. Not like that. Yeah. I've seen the one years ago when I was a teenager getting tattoos, and a guy that worked at the tattoo shop, he had really long teeth, but he had them made. They were permanent. They took his regular teeth and they built them up like fangs, and then he wore these white contacts. He was a strange character, but it's weird when you were talking about the house that everybody vacated and it had the power, the water still running, then all these rocks. I was watching a paranormal show. They were 2 guys. It was a big fella and a younger guy with him, and they go to these abandoned places that they find. And I think it was in North Georgia. And they found this house out in the woods. It's way out in the woods. They get out there, and it's just like the family was there. And right before these 2 pulled up, the family left, is what it looks like. Mm-hmm. But the house was, it was a criminal investigation. The family just vanished, and the cars there, everything left behind, and they weren't seen before, according to what these guys were saying. And they had supposed police reports about the disappearance of the family. Well, while they're in the home, these guys were urban explorers, but they've caught through the years that they'll get a little bit of paranormal stuff. They got in there, and that house came alive. And it started, there was booming sounds, and we hear them here at our house, and it's coming from the north wall. But what they were catching on video on the live stream, hearing it through my phone was louder than what we're hearing in real time. I mean, it was so loud, and it had them scared to death. They didn't want to go outside, and they went into one of the rooms, and the cabinet slams open, and they had stuff, poltergeist stuff happening, and they just ran for it. But it reminded me of that when you said, looked like the family just vacated, other than these big boulders, thrown through the roof and the walls.
That particular house, on the outside of the house, there was like a 1956 Cadillac, fully looked like it was just drove up there, parked, and just leaves and stuff on it. But there was
Wow.
like three different Cadillacs there, and a truck, all mint condition, just sitting there, with the years of foliage all over it, but no scratches, dents, nothing on it. And
Wow.
when they were in the house, it's like the utilities were still on. There was stuff like in the kitchen, at the dining room table. It looks like kids were coloring on in coloring books. Was still laid out. There was really
Jeez.
no
That's
dust or
scary.
anything in the house. The the uh, the adults, the mother and father's bedroom, the jewelry, all her jewelry, everything was still there. You know,
Wow.
the antiques that were in the house that were adorned all over the walls and everything were priceless antiques.
I wonder if
Just
those
sitting there.
people, do you think they were taken?
It could be. It
You know,
could be the Sasquatch. If it was either Sasquatch or Dogman, they could have been taken and eaten or whatever.
yeah, because if the power is still on, you would think if they vacated it, they would have to find somewhere else to go, but they would have their power shut off so they're not, accumulating
Right.
that crazy bill or
That's right.
transferring power elsewhere and everything being left. It makes me wonder if they weren't taken, something
Yeah.
happened to them.
Yeah.
God
Because
help not.
I mean, it would have had to been they went outside to investigate or something because none of the doors or anything. It wasn't damaged somewhere to where it looked like something came into the house. There
Yeah,
was
it's
some
like it was.
broken glass. There was some broken glass and stuff in the windows, but from what I could see, nothing could fit through that glass. That was to be
Oh,
that
yeah,
large.
yeah, it
So
probably.
they had to go outside or
Yeah,
open the doors to find out what was going on, and then got taken like that. But it was really weird. It was so weird, and they wouldn't accept none of my comments on there. I tried to comment. It was a live chat going on, and they kept retracting my messages off of there. So I just quit.
that's
Just
crazy. It's crazy. And it's a shame that there's so many that they've never experienced any of the high strangeness, and immediately
right.
they discount it. And
That's
I
right.
wish the world weren't that way. There's a lot of stuff at one time that I didn't believe in, and this was after my encounter. I never even heard of the Sasquatch up until I had the encounter. I never heard of Bigfoot or none of that stuff. But after that time, uh, I've witnessed some just stuff that you feel ashamed even telling someone
Right.
because you wait for it. You wait, to be ridiculed. And one of the things I seen in a chat recently, they were talking about fairies, and I don't know. I can't say with certainty it was a fairy, but our house that I lived in, this was back 2002, 2002, somewhere right up in there. The house was haunted. We had all kind of paranormal stuff going on, and you could set a recorder up in the house, and we lived in the woods. It was forest around us, and that was it. No highways. It was you had to take dirt trails to get back there. You could set a recorder up and leave, and it didn't matter if it was in the morning, in the afternoon, at night. It didn't matter. Just anytime. You could put a recorder up, leave, come back in 30 minutes, and pick it up and play it, and hear people having conversations. And there's nobody in the home. There's no neighbors. There's nothing, and it was just part of the norm. Well, I got up, and my sister had got me this camera. I don't remember, a Canon or something, and it had a zoom lens, but it was just the one that came on it, a little short lens. I don't even know if you could change it out on the camera, but it was nice. And I was out back, and she taught me how to get pictures of the orb things, the balls.
Yeah.
So I was in the backyard, And I pull the camera up, and in the digital screen, I'm seeing hot pink, purple, green, these streaks shooting just all through but I couldn't see them with my eye. I could see them through the camera screen. So I just started snapping pictures. Well, then I go inside. My sister had a computer there, and I went inside. I put the memory card in and pulled the pictures up. And these streaks, they probably about the size of one of the large dragonflies. They had wings that looked like a dragonfly. It was two long, narrow wings on each side, but it had a humanoid body. They had very long toes. They looked like super long fingers on the feet and the hands. They had two arms, a body, two legs, a neck, and a little head, and ridiculously long antenna. But they're flying through the yard, and the pictures were so clear. It was scary seeing it. I didn't know what they were, and I never believed. I would have never believed that a fairy was a real thing. I don't know if that was a fairy, but that's immediately what I thought when I seen them. And well, a guy from Germany, I believe, somewhere across the pond, I was talking to him through email, and that was after we got Sandy Goats Rescue YouTube going. And he said, I got some pictures I want to send you. I want you to just give me your opinion on. And I said, sure, I'll look at anything. It fascinates me. And he sent me these pictures. I opened it up, and he's got it zoomed in too much. It's pixelated, it's blurry. But when I opened it up, it reminded me of the fairy things. And I told him, I said, it's zoomed in so much, it's hard to really tell. And so he sent me the original, and he put a circle around it. There wasn't no need to put a circle on it. You could see it. And this thing was fluorescent pink, and it was coming across the screen kind of upward, like it was headed, toward the treetops. I zoomed in on it, and it was the exact same thing we caught here. And he caught it somewhere near Germany, somewhere over that way. And before I could reply back, send him an email to ask him if that's a fairy, he sends me an email, immediately following it. He said, that's my fairy friends. We've got hundreds around my mother's house. And then I sent him a picture of some of them that I had, and it was, I don't know if they're fairies, but it's little small people, right, things. I only got one picture that you could see the face, and the face looks bug-like. There's two huge eyes, very bug-like eyes on them, but they're kind of like the gray alien eyes. How they're kind of, I don't know the shape, but
like teardrops,
like a teardrop, and they angle upward, like the point part goes up on them. It takes up the whole upper part of the head, and they got this little tiny nose. It looks like one nostril, and a little tiny mouth, and these massive antennas coming out of the head. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But what is it? I don't know. And I've tried to take pictures out back here to show Kim, and I've never gotten one here. We've got some other weird stuff. Not those.
If you go back in time, if you go back past our time into the 1700s, 1600s. These wasn't myths. These were actual things that were happening.
Yeah, reportings of what they've seen.
Yeah, the things that are recorded. I mean, you can go back and look. I've researched back through time in newspaper clippings and everything of instances where people have encountered these things, or it was just a regular thing. It was a regular happening. From the early or mid 1900s is when our government started reforming history and implanting it into our minds that these things are just myths, legends, and lore, that these things don't really exist. And it's our government that has brainwashed our ancestors, and you know,
Yeah,
it's fed over into our time, you know, to where we've been taught that these things don't exist, you know. But
yeah.
for me, on my side, my family has experienced these occurrences all their lives, and it was taught to me, especially with the Sasquatch, that they were real all my life. I've known all my life that they were real. My first
Yeah.
actual encounter, I was 12. I was 12
Wow.
years old, and I was hiding out in the swamps because my dad was going to beat my ass for skipping school, and I was hiding from my dad, me and some friends. We was about 2.5 miles out into the swamp. Excuse me, at a local place where all the kids used to hang out at.
Oh yeah.
And this booger comes up out of the swamp, and we all heard it. It came through some sawgrass, and it just made this sound as it was coming up, and it startled. It startled us as much as we startled it.
Oh,
It
we didn't know
stopped.
y'all were there.
Yeah, it didn't know we was there. It was just walking through,
Wow.
and it stopped and froze, and I froze and just looked at it and stared at it. I turned to look at my friends. They were gone. They were hightailing it out. And it sort of like leaned in towards me. And I mean, it
Oh,
was within
jeez.
3 feet of my face. I pissed all over I was scared. I just like, I thought I was dead.
Oh yeah. I've
And
been
it
there.
blew, it just blew a huff. It was just like at me, and it leaned back, and it took 3 steps back into the grass, and it was gone. And it was like that.
Wow.
Maybe 10 seconds at the most right there. But I stood there for about 5, 10 minutes.
Too
Just,
scared to
I was,
move.
I was
Yeah.
shocked. I didn't know what to do, if this thing was going to come back. And I was afraid to turn my back to it. And it was just, it was weird.
Did that
But,
did that event put you on the path where you're at now? Is that
right.
like the
It
start?
did.
It
It
did.
did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I, my second encounter was when I was an adult. It was about, uh, 9 years ago. We was researching, and me and another researcher who's now retired. He doesn't do it anymore. He had an encounter that really scared him, and he doesn't go out anymore. But he lives on property that is inhabited by Sasquatch here in Arkansas, up in northern Arkansas, in Salem to be exact. Uh, Me and him was out doing some research that I was finding a lot of structures on this property, and it was a friend of mine's property. He said he was having activity out there, and we was doing some research out there, and I was doing a video at the same time, and I've got all this on video. You can go to it's one of my older channels. It's called Memphis Sasquatch, and this video is called Very Close Encounter with a Whoop. This thing bluff charged me out of the bushes as I was watching it. I mean, it bluff charged me. It came running towards me, and I ran. I ran back, and I got it on camera. The camera's like moving real short, but then you can hear it whooping back and forth
Oh yeah.
to the other Sasquatch. There was 3 of them there, and my friend was up on top of the hill looking at 2 of them in the bushes, and I was looking at this one that was bluff charging me. But that video, another researcher called the Bigfoot anthropologist, he did a breakdown on the video, and at the end of the video, he caught the Sasquatch that was bluff charging me going back into the bushes.
Wow.
Like, he caught it on video. He slowed my camera down enough to where it just caught the backside of it, gone into the bushes.
Wow, that's crazy.
And that was my second encounter. My third encounter was around the same area. It was in Collierville, Tennessee, and I had one reach out and try to either touch me or grab me. I don't know what, but it scared the living shit out of me, and
Oh,
it made me leave it alone for a couple of years, and then I let that channel go, and I created Mid-South Sasquatch back about 6 years ago, and I was researching a clan that was living around the Wolf River there in Tennessee. And I had a juvenile that followed me every time I went into the woods. And I don't know what it is about. I think once you have an encounter or once you've been in contact with these beings, that you get I don't know, an attachment or something on you. And it's like wherever you go, if you come close to these beings, they sort of are attracted to you.
Yeah, I believe that too. Some type of marker. They're either like a spiritual marker. There's something they're putting on you.
Right. Because I'm here in Arkansas, and I've been here in Arkansas now for the past 3 years, and the areas that I've been researching, they appear wherever I'm at.
Yeah,
they stay within distance of me, but I catch them, in my videos. They're either sitting close by or one's pacing me from a few yards back. But I haven't been out.
I believe the same.
I haven't been out in a few weeks. It's been so hot, and then with work and everything, I just haven't had a chance to get out. But I've been researching an area that's it's a wild game reserve, and it's several hundred acres of nothing but forest and swamp. And I want to get back out there because I've filmed a few things out there that's really brought my attention. That these beings are coming so close to the city, and I believe it's the lumber companies are gutting our forest, and these wildfires that's out there is just pushing them further and further inward.
Yeah, I believe that's exactly what's going on with them, and it's so strange that the majority of people that I've spoke to that have had encounters, and some of them are much older than I am, and they went through their entire life in the woods, and then they get 50, 60 years old, and they have that first encounter, and then it's 10, 12 more, and it's just they go out fishing somewhere, and they're a couple hundred yards from the highway. They're right there. They can see their car, and they have an encounter there. And then a lot of it ends up back at their home. And, we've had encounters right here at our house, and our driveway dumps into a highway, literally. Kim doesn't ever, her grandmother built this home a long time ago, 81 or 83, but there's never been an activity. They never had nothing like that happen. And then when her and I got married, I moved in here because I was renting, and this was a family home that was owned, and it was smart for me to move in with her instead of her moving in with me. And it wasn't long after I moved in, stuff started happening, and I think they know where you're at somehow. I don't understand it. I don't think we'll ever know the truth.
I don't think we'll ever understand it until one of them, comes up and tells us. I don't know.
Yeah.
Excuse me for a second.
Oh, go ahead. Hey, Lynn. What we got? Lynn and Robin's here. Coin Digger. And Brother Pappy's here. Awesome. As if I skipped anybody, I didn't do that intentionally. I get lost in conversation very easily. It's very,
Yeah, and
very
I
easily.
can't see chat, and when it's on StreamYard, chat gets cut off on my end.
Yeah, it done that to me a while back. I was with Carrie on Bigfoot Odyssey, and I couldn't see it at all. And
Right, it's StreamYard that does that. I mean, if you go through YouTube, and if you're not going through StreamYard, but if you go through YouTube itself, then you can see the chat. But when like I'm on a show, the guests can't never see the chat, even though it says down here at the bottom chat. I hit the chat button, but then the whole screen will cut off.
oh, that's weird. Yeah, I like the YouTube Live, and I wish we had phone signal in some of the areas that I go to. I would absolutely love to do a live stream in them, especially like at the property. But there's
Yeah,
only
I do live streams through YouTube in my areas when
yeah.
I'm out.
I've seen some of yours, and I'll listen to them because usually I'm doing something, and you're doing them during the daytime. And if I'm on the tractor, I'll play it, and then I'll have my earbud in, and I'll listen while I'm working. So I'm not
Hmm.
able to participate. That's normally what I'm doing anyway. I just seen a question on here for you. I just happened to catch it. There we go. I'm gonna put it up. He says, "Have you been close to a dog man, or what he thinks, or what do you think of the disappearances?"
Well, I've had one encounter with a dog man. I don't really talk about it that much because it scared me so bad. It took me out of researching for about a year and a half. I didn't go back into the woods. I stayed away from all the YouTube hype and everybody on Facebook. I shut down after that encounter because I really thought I was dead. I thought this thing, because when
Yeah.
I see it, this thing was about 25 yards from me. Um,
Wow.
it chased me through the woods, uh, and I tripped and fell. And when I turned around, this thing, it looked like it was fixing to pounce upon me and kill me.
Jeez. Where was
And
that in
I
Arkansas?
had, it was in Tennessee. It was in, uh, it was in northern Tennessee in Tipton County. It was oh God, I can't remember the name of the national park, but well, it was near the Shelby Meeman National Forest, but it was in a different part of the park. It was another park, national park. I can't really remember. It's a long name to it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with many of the national parks.
Um,
I wish I was.
Chattahoochee or Chattahoochee or something like that. It's something Hoochie River.
Yeah, it may have been Chattahoochee runs through uh, Georgia. Doesn't it
Okay.
come from Tennessee through Georgia?
I know it's this. It's something Hoochie. That's all I can remember. But like I said, it was about 7 years ago is when this happened,
Wow.
and it scared me so bad. Like I said, I didn't go back into the woods. This thing, the look in its eyes was, "I'm gonna kill you." That's what the look was.
How big was
I
it?
had four other guys that were with me, and they weren't there at the time. But right before this thing was fixing to, what I believe, to attack me, they come around the corner on their four wheelers, and all of them were was armed. I don't know why am I coughing so bad. Anyway, they were all armed, and this thing looked up and looked at them, and then looked down at me, and it was like, and I know I'm gonna sound crazy saying this, but this thing dematerialized in front of me. It was like
Oh yeah.
Star Trek in the beam thing. This thing just mystified in front of me, and it was like a green mist.
Wow.
That's what it turned into.
Yeah, it makes you.
One of my friends on the 4-wheeler, who they all researched with me, he's seen the exact same thing. He's
Wow.
seen the thing dematerialize, and it haunted him so bad, he checked himself into a psychiatric ward after that.
Wow. You know,
And he was going for like 3 months. And when he
Gee.
got out, he came directly to my house. Immediately when he got out, he came directly to my house and he asked me, he said, "Did I imagine what I saw out there in the woods?" And I said, "No, man." I said, "That was real."
Yeah.
And he said, "I just spent 3 months of my life trying to say that I dreamed the thing." And I was like, dude, that happened. That actually happened.
What do you think these dogman creatures, if you were to have to make a guess at it, what do you think that they are?
I think they derive from Anubis, from
Yeah.
ancient Egypt, you know.
Yeah, the technology and the supernatural abilities that
Yeah,
were supposedly with Anubis. I'm leaning that way now. More and more encounters. You know, I've only seen what I know to be the dogman twice. First time it was a little one. I thought it was a coyote, a big coyote. It wasn't. I don't know, maybe 4 foot tall. And it was me and Kim's youngest boy, and we were in a little. We were in the water. There's wild hogs all in this area, and
mm-hmm.
it's 30, 40 foot wide, and it runs a few hundred yards long. It's just a finger coming out of the swamp, and it's going up toward the pines. And at the end of it, there's where the end of the water kind of, it's got this little, it's shaped like a banana. And when you get to the end, there's this real thick clump of brush and palmettos and all kind of just junk growing right there. Well, just on the other side of it, it's about 20 foot thick, maybe. The land goes uphill pretty quick, and then it rolls off. And we were easing up on it. You could hear something in that brush, and we thought it was pigs. So he's 15, 20 feet beside me, and we're easing toward it. We're both ready for when the pigs come out. We're going to let them have it. And this thing come out the backside. And I wanted to film him because at that time he's never harvested anything. He was still young. So I had a flip phone, and it's got a camera on it. Not like today's camera, but I had it out, and it would film about a minute.
Right, I remember. I had one that did that too. It was a
Yeah,
flip phone.
yeah, and it was a second or third clip. It stopped, and I started recording again, and then it whatever it was came out of that thick, and it was it looked like a coyote, but he was on his back legs, dark black, and he went away from us up that hill, and then down the other side on his back legs the whole time, and he had his front legs. It looked like he had it very similar to a raccoon, really long, skinny, gangly fingers, but his hands were like bent like this, elbows at his side. But he wasn't, doing this running motion. His what should have been arms were motionless against his side, and
Right,
he was moving. He went up that hill and then down the backside until we seen his head disappear. And I had it on video, and it was so pixelated. I kept it for a long time up until I got rid of the phone, the phone died, and I got me my first smartphone. We seen that when it was the size of a full grown coyote. It wasn't nothing impressive. It was just it. We laughed about it because neither one of us ever seen a coyote run, and that thing was scooting, on 2 legs. But the second time was with Jeff Townsend, brother Jeff, and that was 3 miles maybe from my home here, and we were very close to him. But that one, it was scary to look at him, but I didn't get a bad feeling from him, like he was going to attack us or anything. I didn't get any bad feeling, but I was scared. Jeff had a rifle on him, and he was squatted down next to a pine sapling, and he would look at me, and then he'd look over at Jeff, and Jeff's got this 450 Bushmaster AR-15 or whatever he had aiming at it. And I finally told Jeff I was getting scared. I was filming it. I could see it. And I look in the screen, and it was just a blurry black mess. And I wasn't moving. I was holding it steady on him. Everything else was clear but him. And he was right, I mean, just feet in front of us. And I told Jeff, I said, I'm going back by the lake. I mean, I didn't want to be there. It scared me. But it wasn't that he was putting off like an evil sensation. I didn't feel like I was in danger at all. But it wasn't normal seeing that.
Right.
I couldn't comprehend it. My brain was going to all over the place.
That's the way it happened with me with that Dogman sign, because when I seen it, I was like, that's not a Sasquatch. I was like, that is not a Sasquatch. And then when it started moving towards me, I just, the first thing that hit my mind was run. And I took off. And the thing stayed within arm's reach of me the whole time until I fell. And when I fell, I knew it was over with. You know, I excluded some of the details of it, because what happened, I can't wrap my head around it. I was armed at the time. I did shoot it, and the bullets had no effect whatsoever. And I knew I hit it because I seen pieces of flesh flying off of it.
Yeah, he's right on top of you.
But it's like it never affected it. And then when it dematerialized in front of me, that just blew me away right there. That took everything that I've learned, everything that I believed in, just totally went out the window.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe what I was seeing with my own two eyes, that this was actually happening to me.
That's scary.
And it took me out of the field. I just didn't want to go back no more. I did not want to. I was scared to go back into the woods. And then even after that, when I did go back to the woods, I never went back to that area. I stayed away from it.
I don't blame you.
Far away from it. And it was one of the main reasons why I left that area, was because it was always in the back of my mind every time I went out there, was that could happen again. And maybe the next time I won't be as lucky.
Yep, absolutely. I haven't been back out in the spot where me and Jeff ran into that one. I haven't been back there, and I haven't been back to Mariana where I had the encounter with the Sasquatch, the one that came up behind me and was stomping his foot at me and growling at me.
Yeah, I seen a video you did. You was walking through an area, and you could hear him walking. It was either beside you or behind you. You went through a little swampy area, through some water. It was about 2 feet of water, and you could hear him stomping in the water behind you.
Yeah, it was two of them. Was that the
right?
One?
Right.
Yeah, that was. I was going to get Chris's camera, and that little trail I was on, the river was up a little high, and it flooded that swamp, and it was all I had was my boots on, and it was just starting to come over the top of my boot. There wasn't a way I could cross it. And as soon as I turned around and went to walk back, on my left side, it was like he was 20 feet from me. But them big palmettos, you can't see past them.
Right.
You know how big them palmetto leaves are. And he took off, and it was so loud. I wish it would have been recorded as loud as I was hearing it. It was like he was 5 feet from me and just stomping as hard as he could. But he was going away from me. You could tell.
I heard it. I had earbuds on, and I was listening, and I could hear him stomping.
Yeah, that was scary. But it was a while before I went back to that. I went to that area, but to that spot, um, that's the first time that had happened. That area, I've had so many encounters with them. A lot of it is sounds like that. Hearing the footfall, or you'll see something dark go between the trees, or have things thrown at you. I probably had 7 sightings right there. All the rest were sounds and things being hit with stuff. And I still go there. I hunt that area, but I stay away from where the footsteps were. I stay out of there unless Chris is with me. I won't go back there by myself.
Right.
But
I got a video. If you'd like to see, it's on my Mid-South channel. It's called Creature Blinks 3 Times. Is the name of the video.
I think I've seen that one.
And it has some weird anomalies in it. It has some beings that's not Sasquatch. There's some Sasquatch in the video, but they're blurred like really bad.
Is that that's the one with the yellow eyes?
Right.
Yeah. That
but,
was.
It's weird. These beings that's in it, I don't know what they are. They could be dimensional creatures or just some species that we're not familiar with that we don't know about. But they're there.
So much out there now. Yeah, absolutely.
Me and a friend of mine that was there with me, who researched with me for about a year, we seen the same thing. We was looking at the same thing, and all of a sudden there was a big stomp on the ground. The stomp was so intense we felt it in our chest. And
wow.
I looked over at him. I said, "Did you feel that? Did you?" He said, "I heard it." He said, "I felt it." I said, "That was a stomp." I said, "We need to move now."
Yeah, it'd been right up on top of you, just about.
Yeah, he was like really close, and so we were like surrounded by these beings that night. It was getting over into night. It was evening time, and I said, "I think it's about time we need to go." And we left out of there.
Yeah,
that video right there, that video is just really weird, and I've watched it over and over and over again. I've slowed it down. I've zoomed in.
It looks like they're glowing, like they're putting out light.
Right.
That's. I don't know if any of you watching now have seen that, but jump over and check out his channel. He's got a lot of. I haven't seen all the videos that you got up. I've seen a lot of them. I've listened to a lot of them.
Right.
But the one with those eyes, to me it feels like one of these werewolf things. That's what it feels like to me. But seeing it, I've seen several of the Sasquatches. I've never seen one with eyes like that. And it is so weird the way he's blended in, but there's no mistake. His eyes, you can see the pupil, you can see him.
Right.
When you said he blinked, there's no mistake. He's got some type of, I don't know. It's like he's able to distort everything around him except for his eyes.
Right.
And what makes it creepy is, you can see where light's shining through on some of the other leaves, but you can tell it's sunlight.
Right.
Those eyes, that is not sunlight. It is so bright, but it's got that yellow glow to it. And it looks like they're like projecting light is what it looks like to me. And that's weird. That's one of the creepiest ones that I've seen, without a doubt. But that's if I would have left.
I've redone that video twice and put it on my big screen TV when I was living in Memphis. I had a big 52-inch TV, and I remade it and slowed it down to where you could see the actual face of the creature, and it looked so weird. You can see the mouth moving, and there's like this smoke coming out of its mouth, like, and the smoke sort of like blends around it to like
That's
it's a
that's
shadow, and it's
weird.
really weird. But the name of that video is uh, what are these beings, or what type of cryptid is this?
And that's where you remade it.
Where I remade it and slowed it down, and
I haven't seen that one.
yeah, it's in my library. You can go look at it. But yeah, I put it on my big screen TV, and it's really really weird how this being looks. You can see the teeth, the mouth, everything in it.
Wow. Yeah, that one creeped me out. First time I seen that, I played it back 4 or 5 times, and it just because I seen it on my phone. I mean that was the first thing I watched it on, and
Yeah,
when I seen it, I zoomed it up as big as the phone would let me, and I seen the blink when you said it blinks. Now watch it, and it blinked. Then I watched it on the tablet, which is not a lot bigger, but definitely bigger than the phone. And when I zoomed it in on that tablet, I mean, the details there. And I said,
yeah.
wherever that's at, I'm not going. That's not a place for me.
That was filmed in the Shelby Meeman National Forest, and it was filmed in the area that was closed off to campers. It was in where they used to have the primitive campsites. Well, they closed that off. They fenced it off, and I jumped the fence. Me and my friend jumped the fence and walked several hundred yards into the woods, into that area.
Oh,
And
I
I see
wonder if that's
why.
why they
Yeah, I
think that's
see
why
why
they
they
closed
closed it off.
Yeah.
Because when I felt the energy when we got in there, it was just, I was like, there's things in here. I said, I can feel it. And that video right there, I filmed several different beings in there, but it, like I said, it's so blurry, but you can see the movement
Yeah. Yeah.
beyond the
I've seen
blur.
those, and it all, I couldn't tell what none of them were. I mean, you could see them.
No, me neither. Me neither.
There's,
But
but
when I
them
was looking
eyes
at it with
got
my
me.
eyes, when I was seeing it with my eyes, I even say on video, I said, "There's a Sasquatch in front of us, in front of this tree," and I pointed the camera at it, and I was like, "Look how it blurred the
Yeah,
camera."
it looked like the air was shifting. That's
Right,
what it looked like to me. Like someone cut a circle out of a picture and was moving it. It was so strange, and uh, I was blown away by it because it's not pareidolia. If you understand
no,
what pareidolia, there's no
right,
way because it's not shadowing.
and it's not a still object. I mean,
No,
it's
it's
moving.
something's moving right there. And you
Right,
can see where it's affecting the leaves that are behind it. You can see where they're being like magnified. It
right.
was so weird, and uh, it's not. Well, I don't think it's paranormal, but I don't know. And when you got to the eyes, and I finally, because when you first showed them, they were off, like away from
Yeah,
me. You didn't have it
right.
zoomed up, and I wasn't seeing it. But when you zoomed it in, then I seen it because I see you could see the pupil in them, and
Hmm.
they were emitting light. They were projecting light, and that just man, that freaked me out. Uh, but yeah, that's one of the spooky ones. I wanted to put this up. I'm really behind on the chat. I just real quick. Uh, Danny Church had asked about the activity at my home, and I just wanted to address it right quick. We have
Well,
not had. It's been quiet here. The banging, it's been pretty quiet this last couple of weeks, probably week and a half. But we've been getting the voices again. It sounds like two feminine like people talking, but you can't make out what they're saying. It's real murmured, like it's behind a wall. Um, it's strange, but the beating on the house, it's been real quiet. Um, it's been Well, the lights are out now. None of the lights on the north end work. Not one of them. So that may be why it's quiet. But I'll be fixing those sometime soon. It'll be this week. I just happened to see it. I'm so behind on the comments. I'm not going to be able to catch them all, I don't think.
Well,
I didn't
Donnie,
do a good job.
I'm gonna cut out here. It's getting kind of late. I gotta get up early, go to work.
Yeah,
But
when you get time, not tonight, but in the next day or so, shoot me an email if you don't mind.
okay.
Because I'm going to try to get up with you here in the next few days. When you just let me
I
know
don't.
what your
My
schedule
memory's
is.
pretty bad, but you can always Gmail me at LandryMark180 @gmail.com. It's all lowercase letters.
Let me see if I got a pen. If it writes, I'll write it down right now because I will not remember it. I don't even remember my anniversary, and it's coming up this week. It's Landry Mark.
Yeah, Landry, LandryMark 180 @gmail.com. And it's all lowercase. It's all lowercase letters.
Well, I will shoot you an email sometime tomorrow, or the next day, and because I want to touch base with you sometime this week. Figure out what your schedule's like.
Okay.
I know you probably got to go to work tomorrow. It's getting late. I'm fixing to shut it down here in a minute. Thank you so much for hopping on and sharing that with us.
Man, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's always good to see you and everyone that's here with us tonight. I want to thank everyone for coming on. We're going to be doing another show very soon. So please, if there's anything any of you need that I can help with, please email me at standinggoatsrescue@yahoo.com. I love each and every one of you. Y'all have a wonderful evening. We've been on almost 3 hours. It's time for us to go to bed here. So God bless you. Have a good night, and we'll definitely see you soon. And thank you again.
Bye now.